Welcome to the Australian Business Executive Podcast, where we speak with Australia's most influential industry professionals on the business and economic development issues taking place across the country. You can stay up to date with all our content, including our magazines, podcasts and videos, by visiting www.theabe.com.au and clicking on subscribe.
Today's guest is Jodi Stanton. Jodi spent 6 years in financial risk and derivatives with U.S. insurers and on Wall Street. She moved to Australia in 1999 and spent 10 years consulting to financial and technology companies with McKinsey Co. and as an independent consultant. She then spent over 8 years as a high net worth investment advisor, investment director in venture capital, and investment committee member for Sydney Angel Sidecar Fund. Along the way, she founded several companies and held several non-executive director and C-level executive roles. Jodi, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Appreciate your time.
Not a problem. So today we're talking about your product SendGold. Can you give us an idea of where this idea came from?
Yes. So I have a long history in financial services, mathematics, technology, and I was certainly piqued by the emergence of distributed ledger technology. And I think it was the perfect storm in the end. The timing of blockchain and its potential to solve some monetary system issues. Such as transparency and cross-border payments, complex, expensive, taking many days, and the rising, increasing gap between the wealthy and everybody else. I think it was just everything kind of came together. I was an investment director at the time, and I was being approached by a number of entrepreneurs globally that were sort of spending time on blockchain and trying to figure it out. And this was back in 2009, 2010, 2011. And so we were really intrigued about the ability of blockchain to solve some monetary system problems and to help not only with transactions cross-border, but savings and the ability to own an asset itself. We have, money systems that have been around for a long time, based on legacy systems and bank money that is based on debt. And so we thought, blockchain could put an asset in the hands of millions of people. It's $4.3 trillion coming into the market in the coming years. 85% of all transactions are still done in cash. And I have a lot of experience transacting cross-border throughout my career and through my hobbies. And I'm kind of tired of it. So we looked at the ability of blockchain to potentially solve some of these issues. I was approached by a gentleman called Mark Pei, who is deeply entrenched in monetary theory with a wealth of knowledge and experience in this space. And we started looking at blockchain. And so, back in the day, I was buying Bitcoin with money in brown paper bags and meeting people around corners. And I just wanted to meet the miners and interview them and talk with them. So that's how we started. We were trading Bitcoin before it was cool, and I think we got out of it before everyone else jumped into it. And I think people are starting to learn what we learned a few years back. It's still got a little bit further to go. So then we stepped back and said, okay, well, how can we hold on to what's good about Bitcoin in particular as a currency and fix the things that are not quite right with it? And in particular, we went through 8 law firms globally. We got lawyers at the table. We got regulators at the table. We looked at several jurisdictions in which to operate. We looked at the fees. We looked at all of these things that we could fix. And we came up with SendGold, which is really a hybrid of many things technically. But at the end of the day, it solves the ledger without using blockchain. So currently, We don't rely on blockchain, but we do believe that we now have a digital money platform that that does solve a lot of issues for many people. Being money, it does mean different things to different people, but it's a digital money platform, and we operate in some of the largest markets in the world.
So that's the next thing I wanted to ask you. There's going to be a lot of listeners who are going to be unfamiliar with exactly how this works. So can I ask, first of all, SendGold is an app that people are using to transfer gold as a currency. Is that the basis of the product?
Yeah, so it'd be good to step back and just talk about what the hell it is, right? So SendGold is it's digital money. We've turned gold back into money. It's at the very top. It's a very, very simple product. You can save it. Our big three use cases for customers and how they're using it, where we're headed with this product is you can save it. It's a hedge against inflation. And, we have customers that buy a little bit every month and add to their savings. It's an asset. It's an asset that holds its value outside of the banking system, right? It's one of the world's most reliable asset classes. It's well known, and so at the very core, it is a simple asset. We've made it incredibly accessible. We've made it universally accessible, and anyone can buy it. Very low minimums, if any, by most countries, and there's no paperwork. And within 2 minutes, you can sign up and buy gold. It's very simple.
But I was going to ask, for someone like me who doesn't come from a financial services background, I understand how the stock market works, where you put in money and you get a share in a company. How does it work when you're, buying a share of gold through an app? How is that securitized, I suppose is my question.
Well, I'll correct you right there. It's absolutely not a security. It is not a financial product. It is not a tokenized security that blockchain provides. It is not an ETF. It is not a share. What it is an asset. You own 100% title to your gold. You own it. It does not sit on our balance sheet. It sits on yours. You take on the price risk of gold. There's very little counterparty risk compared to other means of owning gold. And at the end of the day, you can trade that peer to peer, which brings across the ability to exchange cross border. So it's held in its custody here in Australia with Brinks Global Services in specialized vaults, high security vaults. It's physically audited by Bureau Veritas. It's insured by Lloyd's of London, but it is your gold, and you can do it. You can cash out any time. You can send it cross border. You can send it as a gift. We're finding grandfathers want to give their grandson, their granddaughters gifts for their birthday instead of buying them that toy. So they might buy gold on birthdays. We find that Chinese New Year, we're gearing up for that next year, where they give gold. $90 billion in a single month. Indian weddings. We're finding even Australians are sending it for 50th anniversaries, for example.
That's quite interesting because as a sort of an app-based product, and I'll ask you a little bit more about blockchain, but it sounds like something that would require technologically advanced early adopters. But based on your user base, it sounds like it's across multi-demographics from across the world who are familiar with this product and already engaged in using it.
Customers are telling us how they want to use it, and we are surprised in the breadth of customer demographic and behavior. So, but it is money at the end of the day, and everybody uses money for different things. So we do have an early adopter group, which is, folks who read a lot of news. They're up on technology. They live on their phones. They tend to work in finance and consulting. It's 25 to 45 is our key age range. But we have, I know a gentleman that buys gold from us who's 98 years old. So there is a range. It's less about demographic really, and more about people who are a little bit aware of money, global money printing and the interest in trying to hold a portfolio of assets one way or the other. But we've made it dead simple. It's a very, very simple product. We have a new app out in beginning of September, which we're very excited about. But even our app now, it's really dead simple to register and buy gold.
Okay. And can I take you back for a second? I mean, you've talked about the issues with blockchain and how SendGold doesn't rely on that. For someone like me, can you explain, what that means in layman terms?
Look, all blockchain is a database, right? So one of the core issues about blockchain is that once records, I'll call it, recorded, they're non-disputable. They can't change, right? So that's the key advantage. The problem, the flip side to that is anybody can steal and hack into it. I think there's $1 billion in hacked Bitcoins this year alone, for example. So it's a balloon animal. You're just moving the risk around. We've flown in people from all over the world, from economists and developers and stakeholders and lawyers, and we've really looked carefully at this blockchain innovation. And I think what happens is blockchain does solve risk, but it moves it in the other side of the balloon animal, and it doesn't really remove risk. It just moves it around. And so you still, with blockchain, you're presented with other problems, right, that are not proven, whereas we've then chosen to stick with a ledger. We have chosen a ledger among many. We did a thorough investigation on customer system of record, and we have a perpetual license with a third-party software company. It does this for us, but it's proven, it's backed up. We've done all the security and risk measures that you would expect that are well proven and in the market. And we are working with an auditor locally to publish those results at the end of every day. So in very short order, users will be able to just jump online to a third party and see their holdings. And so we're using a combination of traditional and innovative platform measures to get us to where we needed to be without the use of blockchain.
And so in the edition that this is going to come out, we've also got an editorial by you that we've looked at with SendGold. And one of the things that you discuss in there is the reduced buying power of monetary currency. This is an explanation for how you've gone on to develop SendGold, but what are some of these issues of why people are going back to, I guess, a hard commodity like gold?
Yeah, I think some people have never left it. I mean, gold is something I bought when I was 18. I bought Berkshire Hathaway shares and gold, and that was my introduction. That was pre-Wall Street days. I think a lot of people have never left it. A lot of people are putting a lot of gold under their mattress, so to speak, and certainly. If you look to Asia, the Chinese government is encouraging mom and dads to buy as much gold as they can. I touched on it a moment ago. The U.S., Japan, and many countries around the world that are just printing money. We have a debt-based system, and there is more debt in the world today than the available money. So the only way to pay back the debt and to balance that out is to print more, right? As you print more money, the value of the dollar is decreased, right? Yep. So if you look at gold has kept up with the Australian housing market in terms of performance since 2000.
Really?
If you look at gold against a lot of currencies around the world, it has performed anywhere from 200% all up to 2,000%. Again, it all depends on the time frame. So it depends how you look at it to what numbers you get. But it's performed well. The buying power of gold has performed well. There are other ways to get rich. I'm not suggesting that this is, high risk, high reward type investment. We get asked a lot of how this is different than Bitcoin. Well, it's very, very different from Bitcoin. They do get compared to a lot, and for good reason. We've written a paper on that as a separate topic. But but the power of your dollar is not increasing. It's not increasing, and so being able to hold a savings account in an asset, particularly it's a long-term asset, and particularly against local currencies in Asia that have not held their purchasing power, and have been devalued and confiscated time and time again. So, yeah, there's merit to it, but I don't want to suggest that it's a get-rich-quick scheme. We are simply a savings account and a peer-to-peer transaction product that you can send anywhere in the world instantly.
And so Australia isn't exactly the first place that you think of when you consider, cutting-edge app-based financial tools. Is there a reason why you've set yourself up, in Sydney?
Yes, it was deliberate and strategic for us. So we did look at New York, we did look at Hong Kong, we did look at Singapore. Australia has a reputation for strict financial regulation. We've got great property ownership laws and great consumer protections. And people across Australia, in particular, our market, know and respect this about Australia. I think it was the Independent International Property Rights Alliance, which gives Australia one of the highest scores in the world for property right protection. I think it's like 8.24. If you look at the score they've given the U.S., it's something like 8.07. China would be sitting at 5 something. So, we have that reputation for those strong property rights, which is really important given the core of our product is title to an asset. That's really important. The second reason, we're the world's second largest gold producer, so we have a long association with gold here. So it's very deliberate. And finally, Australia provides access to our market. If I was sitting in New York right now, I'd have a harder time reaching China and India as our 2 largest markets. So it makes a lot of sense for us.
Well, that leads directly into my last question today is, where do you see your growth strategy? Is there a reason why you sort of pick these, larger developing nations?
So, as a former McKinsey consultant, you always sort of sit back and say, what are those 7 degrees of freedom when it comes to growth? And that's been drilled into me. So I guess I think about everything in that framework. We have a lot of degrees of freedom. So first of all, we are a regional play. We're very much about Asia. Our banking integration and our AML, we have very strong AML, which is anti-money laundering compliance. We have certainly ticked all the boxes of compliance and made that a mandate for our business and our products. And with that, we are a regional play. We're not going to be instantly global for that reason. We have to take one country at a time and roll this out. And currently we're in one form or another in 9 countries, and that's home to 43% of the world's population. Right. So geography is one of those degrees of freedom, I suppose, that we can grow on. Another one is just adjacent markets. So I just want to stress that we are a platform. I suspect that about 70 to 80% of our business longer term will be through distribution partners. And so with that, we're jumping into, as a platform, we have what's called a gold as a service. We have APIs there that jump into a number of some of the largest trending sectors of today. We're in mobile payments, cross-border remittances, peer-to-peer transactions. We're in online gifting, social gaming, rewards. We've signed up a number of distribution partners right now. For example, the globe's largest cloud-based rewards platform called Global Reward Solutions, serving some of the top blue chips out of the U.S. And around the world, global companies. So India and China and Australia are the countries we've opened up with them. Initially, we just signed on a U.S. social gaming platform to incorporate gold inside of their social gaming, for example. We've built our own Gold Rush, which is it's a separate app, but it was about how do we innovate in gamified customer acquisition? How do we get people talking about our product without a high acquisition fee? And we've built and launched something called Gold Rush, which is based on Pokemon Go. It's a location game, and we can put gold anywhere in the world within about 4 hours' notice and run a gold rush and have people, run the media and have an event where people are running around looking for gold. Gold gets automatically placed in their SendGold account if and when they find gold. So, and we have a whole stream of work there. We are talking to neobanks globally. Very exciting space for us, the digital bank, right? And of course, we will someday head back into blockchain lands. We certainly have very specific views on where we are going there. We are forced to be a bit patient, and we will be a bit more patient this time than we were the first time around in 2015. And we know exactly what our plans are there. And so there's a lot of room in adjacent markets for us to play in, which is really exciting. And then we're, in terms of the product itself, another degree of freedom, I suppose, but interest-bearing gold accounts, a way to spend gold at any merchant. And so we've got a lot. We've got a full technology roadmap, but it's finite and it's achievable, and it's very well planned out. So we're very excited about our growth. And what we did is we looked at overseas models. We're not the first ones to try to digitize gold. There's gold mining out of the U.S. We looked at them for inspiration. There's Glint out of the U.K. So there's a couple around, and we've looked really carefully at them, and then we've improved upon them with what we think are very compelling competitive advantage over them, such as our peer-to-peer, our jurisdiction, our compliance, our platform play, the liquidity, and any currency in the outright ownership model. So we've gone through and improved upon it in a number of ways that we think we're going to remain sustainably competitive into the market moving forward.
Excellent. Jodi, that's really insightful. Thanks very much for your time today.
Appreciate your time as well. And I hope everyone who listens to us goes and jumps on SendGold and SendGold.com, downloads the app, and buys a tiny piece of gold.
I'm sure they will.
Thank you very much.
No worries.
I appreciate the time. Have a good day.
This has been a production of the Australian Business Executive, a division of Romulus Rising Proprietary Limited. All rights reserved. You can stay up to date with the Australian Business Executive, including our magazines, podcasts and videos, by visiting www.theabe.com.au and clicking on subscribe.